Coming to get you, Barbara.
Here's Johnny.
Like scary.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Scared Speechless, the podcast where oh my god, try and find the words to describe our favorite and least favorite horror films. I am your host, Jake, along with my co-host, Aaron.
What the fuck? I mean, I know he does that at some point.
Okay, I'm glad you...
I know he does do that. That is something. I should have written that down, but that's funny because that like triggered like a little like memory.
I just
thing for
realized,
me,
too,
but, like,
I didn't
don't
turn
really-
my AirPods on.
Dude. Wait, so
We're not doing that again. Sorry, guys. I didn't turn my AirPods on, so you probably
God.
heard the echo
it.
of Aaron. It's okay. We're figuring out the kinks.
Funny little fuck.
I hope you guys liked that intro, because
I liked it.
I've been excited about that since I watched the movie. I was like, oh, I know what my intro is gonna be.
Man, I watched this movie, and you know what? I watched it.
I also
What
watched
can I say
it.
about that? No, you know what?
What did we watch?
How do you? Oh yes. What did we watch?
What did we watch
You
today?
didn't even fucking say.
This is like the third episode in a
I
row.
love this show.
You were absolutely right. And if you guys listened to our last episode on Rec, we go about 15 to 20 minutes
fucking
into the
love this
episode before we even tell
Without
you the
even
plot of the
saying
movie.
what it's about, who it's directed by, who's in it, like all this shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's funny. What's the movie called? I do have the IMDb page.
It is called
I
It's
one
called
that we
Oh
just
my
did.
god, the movie.
It's called Cloverfield. It's called Cloverfield. It came out in 2008. It's rated PG-13 and it is an hour and 25 minutes.
Yes.
I don't know about that. I mean that must be including the credits.
There's like 8 minutes of credits. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So I had to watch. I watched it last night, or I watched half of it last night, and then got tired, and I figured I would have a little time today because I had to go spend time with some family, and I was like, oh, I can finish the other half today, and I did, and I was running out of time, and I was like, ooh, I'm cutting it kind of close, and then because I've seen this movie several times, but
Yeah.
I know when it ends, and the movie ended, and I was like, there's like 9 minutes left. Like, what what is going on?
Dude, I thought that too. Like I went and I tapped like the screen to see like how much time I had left.
Yeah.
And like just like the point that the slider was on was like 3/4. It looked like 3/4 of the way through. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I have a good amount of time left.
Yeah.
But like 2 more minutes went by, and then that was it. That was the end. And I was like, oh,
I guess that's it.
All right. I guess that's it.
The end. Bye,
Oh
Cloverfield.
man.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, it is.
Cloverfield.
It is Cloverfield. It is directed by Matt Reeves, who also did the Batman.
Yes.
and-
And the Planet of the Apes trilogy. Oh, not the trilogy. I'm sorry. Only Dawn and War. He did not do Rise.
And I love fucking both of them.
Yes, they're way
it
better
was
than
written
Rise.
by. Oh, well, I loved them all. I
No,
honestly, like,
Rise is
truly love them.
good, but I distinctly remember like Dawn and War just being like, oh, like these are better movies.
Yeah, I get you with that.
I don't like James Franco, so
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. So this movie was written by Drew Goddard, stars Mike Vogel, Jessica Lucas, and Lizzie Kaplan.
yes.
Who
Mean
Marlena-
Girls.
Yeah, Lizzie
Mean Girls
Kaplan.
fame.
I remember her from New Girl.
Yes, she is Nick's girlfriend in season 1, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, not the only person in the cast who's in New Girl. The main guy, Rob, he's also in New Girl.
What?
Yeah, he's in like one episode where I think it's in the phase when... Have you seen the whole show?
Uh, yes. I
He's in
have.
one episode, and it's I think when Jess is like done, she's like done with like serious relationships, so she just wants
Yeah.
to like meet guys and sleep with them. I think I'm unless I'm mixing up the characters, but I do know that he's in it for one episode because I remember watching New Girl and watching through the show for the first time and being like, oh my god, it's the guy from Cloverfield. No way.
Damn.
It's the only other
That's
thing
so
I've
funny.
ever seen him in. So. And
Oh yes,
yeah,
Ian.
I obviously
In one
remember.
episode.
I
need
obviously
to see
remember
that
Lizzie
episode.
Kaplan because I have had a crush on
Goldmine.
Lizzie Kaplan for so long, and you know what it is. You know what's funny too. And not I don't mix them up, but for some reason I think her and Mary Elizabeth Winstead look very similar.
I totally get you with that.
And you know what also
For a
fucks me
second,
up
for a second, I thought it was Mary Elizabeth Winstead,
Well,
and then
you
it
know what's
ended up being
weird?
Lizzie Kaplan.
is Mary Elizabeth Winstead is in 10 Cloverfield Lane. So she's in the sequel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if
But
that was.
oh
like,
yeah,
I
one
wonder if
thing
they
we
knew
did
what they were
not
doing with that.
mention about the kind of backdrop of this movie is that it is produced by J.J.
fuck.
Abrams, the guy who ruined Star Wars. No, he didn't.
Oh,
he
damn.
didn't ruin it. George Lucas ruined it way before J.J. Abrams and Disney ruined it more. But
For show.
yeah, produced by J.J. Abrams, and his production company, Bad Robot Productions, which I've always been a really big fan of their production logo, where it's like the little robot like racing back and forth in the field, and then he comes to the forefront of the frame. I've always enjoyed his production company's little animation,
Oh,
but
I do love like those like animation, like production company animations, like
yeah.
Amblin.
I want to fight J.J. Abrams.
Jesus Christ.
For a lot of reasons, but mainly Rise of Skywalker. But yeah,
Dude, I also remember the fucking I got so stoked earlier.
yeah.
I found the episode from where the guy is from, and I remember like who he was.
Was I
I'm
what
excited.
what was his character? I because I
So
forgot.
I remember. So this episode, Nick pretends to be gay to make his status as Jess's ex less
my
of an issue
God.
for her new boyfriend. And so that was him.
Yes, dude.
And I remember, I love that fucking conversation that they had where he's like, you know what? I don't believe that you're like gay or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he's like, what? I'm totally gay. And then like Schmidt comes in, and then they have like a thing,
Yeah.
like a conversation that
Okay.
like,
I gotta ask
my
you,
God.
as a
the
person
best.
who's also watched New Girl, because I think there's a clear answer to this, and I think a lot of
Yeah.
people get it wrong. But who do you think is the funniest character?
Nick.
No, it's
Nick
Schmidt.
Miller.
It's Schmidt.
Schmidt is
Schmidt.
so close to being the funniest character, but I think with just how
Everything Schmidt
I
does
think-
is funny. Dude,
I think Nick
dude,
Miller
the
is
episode,
too relatable.
he is relatable, and I'm not saying that Schmidt is the best character, but I think he's
No,
the
I get you.
funniest. Dude, the episode. I don't know how this is turning into a New Girl discussion, but I'm going with it.
Yeah, fuck it.
No, the episode where Nick, Schmidt and Jess are getting into it because everything in the apartment is Schmidt. Like he cleans everything, so he gets a say basically in the decor and the design. And she
Yeah.
wants this. Oh, what is it called? It's like this giant wooden monstrosity. And he's like, that's Pine. Like Pine has no place in this apartment, which is already like a funny line because it's so in line with Schmidt's character. But then he's like, he makes her think that it's okay, and he's like, fine, you can keep it. And she's like, okay. And she turns around and takes like 2 steps, and he pulls the whole wooden thing down and like knocks it to the ground. And like he immediately knows that he fucked up. And like all you see is Jess turn around like in slow motion.
Was Control.
And she's like, Schmidt, you got a real problem. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah. I remember like he like backs up and he like kind of like as if it was a mistake, but
it's like a dog putting his tail between his legs.
Right. Oh my god, that's
it just everything, dude. Everything about Schmidt, the way he pronounces words. Oh my god, when they do the flashbacks and he's in the fat suit, like
yeah. Oh my god, every single time that he does a flashback in his fat suit, it's the best thing on the planet.
they do the episode.
You are right. You're right with that.
They do the flashback, and he's eating the ramen noodles, but when they're uncooked, and he's just biting into it like it's. Okay, we're getting too off track. Now I just want to watch New Girl.
Yeah, dude.
So the plot of the movie, does IMDb have a? I mean, I know it does, but what's the synopsis on IMDb of Cloverfield?
To go back,
because I'd love to know how they describe the movie.
So, a group of friends venture deep into the streets of New York on a rescue mission during a rampaging monster attack.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's
right. I'd say.
Yeah. I guess a little bit more in-depth explanation is basically there's a character. His name is Rob. He is and I got a lot to get into. That's why I would have kept talking about New Girl, but I have a deep history with this movie and this franchise, so I want to get into all that. And it's kind of I want to get into it in the way that you did with like Five Nights at Freddy's.
For sure.
Because I don't know if you know the lore behind these movies, but it is the most insane shit ever. But yeah, basically there's this character Rob, and he works for this company, Tagruatu or Tagruatu, and it's this Japanese company, and he works for the American division, but he is being sent to Japan to go work over there. And I think along the lines of becoming like the VP of their Japanese division, like their home base. And yeah, basically they're throwing a going away party for him, and a gigantic monster ends up attacking New York, and he has a girl, Beth McIntyre, who he's in love with, and they got this weird relationship dynamic going on where they're not dating, but they are sort of in love with each other, and he calls her. She says that she's trapped in her apartment, which is, I don't know the sort of structure of New York. I've only been like twice, so I don't really know the layout, but I think she lives in Midtown. And so he's going from if I'm understanding the geography and I remember correctly, he's going from lower Manhattan to Midtown. So for you New Yorkers listening, I don't know that distance, but they make it seem like it's far. And basically, him, his brother, his brother's girlfriend, TJ Miller's character, who works as the cameraman in the movie, his name is Hudson, but I'm going to call him Hug for the whole episode.
Not Hud?
No, his name is Hug.
I'm just a fucking stare down just now. Like
no, because
you're fucking with me.
There's this scene when he's going around the party and he goes up to Marlena, who's Lizzie Kaplan's character, who he has a crush on, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Hud," and she goes, "Hug." And so for the rest of my notes, I called him Hug. So like I took a lot of notes for this movie. All in my notes, I just kept calling him Hug. So Hug and then Lizzie Kaplan, her character. So they go and they're basically going to go and rescue her from her building because she's trapped. So that's basically the setup of the movie, and also obviously in line with Found Footage February. This is the last episode of Found Footage February, so we thought we'd go out with a little bit of a bang. It's all done in found footage. So it is, as far as I know, the only kaiju monster movie that is done in the found footage style. So it adds a little bit of uniqueness, a little bit of originality, nice little refreshing spin on a very saturated market. There's like 30 Godzilla movies and like a bunch of Kong movies. So yeah, neat little spin. Have you seen this movie before?
I have not.
Oh.
And yeah, so I watched this movie. I honestly I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty all right. There was some stuff that I wasn't too keen on, I feel like.
Yeah.
But overall it was okay.
Yeah.
I think
Got
there
good
was
elements.
yeah. I did think it was really cool, a really cool way to do a kaiju movie. Um you have found footage for a zombie movie, and then you have one for a kaiju movie. I think this was done in a very exemplary way.
Yeah.
I thought so many of the shots were so good. Any time you see the monster uh from afar, and when they're in a helicopter and stuff like that,
Yeah.
so cool. Very, very cool. And the shots for when they were going from one building to another, which was fucking insane that they would ever
even attempt to do that.
Even think to.
I love
because I would get just a panic attack thinking that that's something that was an option for me.
I love too that it's Hug's suggestion, and then immediately they're like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea," and then he's like, "Wait, no, I take it back."
Don't actually do that.
And then they get in the building, it cuts them in the building, and he's like, "Nobody ever listens to me, and the one time they do." One of the things that I really loved about the found footage style, and it's very similar to kind of my praise of Rec, is that I really think the found footage aspect really enhances the experience of this movie, because although it's not my favorite kaiju monster movie, one thing that's really cool about it, and it's not one that you get in any other movie, is you basically receive the information of this monster attack as the characters get it. There's no cutting to the monster. There's no cutting to government officials or military officials separate from our characters explaining what's going on, explaining what's happening. So it's really nice that you're kind of fed the information slowly as the characters get it. You're just as confused as they are at first, and then you're just as every time something crazy happens, because it does take a few, I don't want to say twists and turns, but there's some elements of it that they kind of throw in. It's not just being one giant monster, but these tiny little critters that fall off of him. They're like these giant bug-like creatures that attack people. When that happens, you're getting that information with the characters. And I just thought that was a nice added touch to it. But,
poorly timed yawn.
No, you're good.
I get you with that. I think the one thing that I wasn't a big fan of was HUD's character.
He's the fucking worst.
Yeah, he sucks.
I hate him.
I think that's honestly what
drags it down.
Dragged it down.
Well,
quite a bit for me, because there's no need for his character.
No,
because it's a comic relief, but it's
not funny.
You don't need it.
Yeah,
even in just for the sake of the movie, for the sake of the genre, it's you don't need it. It's a horror movie. It's we could lead into the fact that it's a scary thing that they're in this situation or whatever. I don't know. I don't know, but it was
You want to know why?
So annoying.
You want to know why I took a lot of notes? It's because half my fucking notes are just complaining about Hug's character. I cannot, dude. I shit you not. I also wrote in my notes, hearing Beautiful Girls by Sean Kingston is giving me PTSD to middle school. Because it's a great song. I heard it, but that was at every middle school dance. Yeah, right when you get to Hug's character, the first thing I wrote is Hug sucks. I hate Hug. I do like this one bit of dialogue with him though, where it's just a funny little short moment, but it's where he's interviewing. I guess we didn't explain it. why they're filming. But basically what happens is, like I said, they're doing the throwing away part, or not throwing away, Jesus Christ. They're doing a going away party for the main character, Rob. And because, like I said, he's going to work for the company in Japan. And basically, his brother's girlfriend, I think her name is Lily. I also got to mention, Lily is so attractive. I'm in love with her. She's so beautiful. I just had to throw that. I loved her. Yeah. She's just she's the brother's girlfriend, the black girl. She's super attractive.
Yeah.
I love her.
She is quite attractive.
Yeah, she was also just like one of the more normal characters in this movie, but she basically they have a camera and she asks the brother, her boyfriend, Rob's brother, I think his name is Jason. She asked Jason to film testimonials for the party, like you would at a wedding, except to go around and just record people wishing Rob a farewell and good luck in Japan. And he doesn't want to do it, so he immediately passes the camera to Hug, TJ Miller's character. And so for the rest of the movie, Hug is our cameraman, and so you don't see his face again after you see it for like one shot, and that's good because TJ Miller has such a punchable face. For any of you who don't know, TJ Miller sucks. Like,
he sucks.
He got arrested for fucking calling in a bomb threat, and mind you, he was like 38 years old at the time. Like you'd expect that from like a 15-year-old. He's like acts like a child, and I just don't think he's that funny. I think he's the most funny in Silicon Valley. He's fairly funny on that show, but there's other characters that are just as funny. Martin Starr is great. Kumail Nanjiani is funny.
Martin Starr.
Yeah, Martin Starr is great.
He's pretty funny.
But Hug. I know I called him by the wrong name. Hug's character is he's just so obnoxious and he's so unlikable. And the only reason I think he's included in this movie is because no other rational human being really would be filming. Like the second the whole bridge scene happens, which is our first major character death of the movie. They're basically, I assume it's the Manhattan Bridge. Again, I don't fucking know New York. But they go to a bridge area because they're trying to evacuate. And basically they get separated because Rob takes a phone call from Beth. And this is when he finds out that she's trapped in her building. And they get separated, and the brother Jason is the farthest ahead. And he stops and he's calling back to them. And this is when the monster, whose name is Clover, brings its arm up and smacks it down on the bridge, destroying it, killing a bunch of people, including Jason. So you have our first character death. Any rational person at that point would probably stop filming. But Hug is written to be such an invasive, obnoxious, in-your-face character that it is obnoxious. And the only justification I have for his inclusion is that he's the only person who would continue filming.
That's exactly what I have in my notes as well.
Yeah.
I said, hang on, let me read what I had. Fucking.
I love when our notes overlap.
I said TJ Miller. That's what I typed down as I was watching. I said, I guess his obnoxiousness / persistence explains why he's recording the whole thing.
No shit. That's fucking fantastic. Yeah, he sucks. I don't like him. He's also, I think they cast a guy who has a really obnoxious voice. Like TJ Miller sounds like a whiny 17-year-old douchebag. Like, I hate his fucking voice. Like, it's awful in Deadpool. Every time I hear his voice, all I can think of is the first trailer for Deadpool, and I guess it's in the movie, but I don't know. I think of the trailer, but it's when he goes, "You look like your face. You look like your face is an avocado that had sex with an older, uglier avocado."
Yeah.
I fucking hate that. I hate that line. I know it wasn't written. It was easily improvised by TJ Miller, and he's got such an obnoxious rat weasel voice. I hate it.
Holy shit.
And you hear it. If you guys haven't clued in at this point, my opening intro when I was like, "Oh my god," it's because TJ Miller yells that at least 40 fucking times in this movie. And I'm sorry I'm going on a tangent, but I would like to note that one of the things that I praised so much about Rec in last week's episode is how efficient it was, how it uses every second to its not max potential, but it uses every second efficiently. Nothing feels wasted.
Yeah.
I mentioned how 8 to 9 minutes into that movie is when the TV news crew goes on the call with the fireman's crew. So immediately something is happening. Aaron, I marked it in my notes. That the first like thing where they think it's an earthquake, like when the monster first attacks, is not until 18 minutes into the film.
Yeah.
That's almost 20 minutes into an hour and 20-minute long film, which we already mentioned is way shorter because the credits are like 9 goddamn minutes long.
Right. Yeah, but, I did think it was quite slow to get to its thing. But like as soon as it happened, I felt quite sure right off the bat that it was like they're all doomed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one character that we don't know if they survived or not. Do you remember?
Was it? Hang on.
Spoilers, guys. I forgot to say it. I'll edit it in.
Was it HUD?
No. Dude, HUD gets eaten. The fuck are you talking about? I'm just kidding. No, it's Lily. Lily gets put in the opposite helicopter.
Oh.
Yeah. Her helicopter, we don't see it get destroyed.
Shit.
So as far as we know, she got away. However, again, spoilers, every other character in this movie dies. Rob and Beth are the last two that we see alive. But it's pretty fucking certain that they die because I'm fairly certain it's not even the monster that kills them, but where they are is where they're dropping bombs, I think. Like they're dropping it wasn't like a nuke or anything, but they were dropping like bombs in the area where Beth and Rob are at the end of the film.
Right.
Also, how shitty is it that, like, listen, I don't know. I don't understand. I sort of understand HUD filming because he makes a point where he's like, I don't know. It is, I guess I can't criticize it too heavily because in Rec, I also, but no, because in Rec, it makes more sense. It's less selfish. It's more, hey, look what the government is doing to us. Look what they're like trapping us in with. Whereas in this, it's fully just like, I want to record this because people are going to want to watch this. It almost feels like selfish in the way to where he keeps recording. And I really wish that I can handle if he's like, because he's super invasive at the party. The party scene it really makes you hate his character.
Oh my god, it was so annoying and like discomforting. Like, man, and it like felt like they were like trying to redeem him later, like when he was like acting sort of appropriately, but like ultimately he still sucked.
The thing is, sorry guys, I had to cough. My throat's been really sore all day. I feel like I'm coming down with something. But no,
I got freaking allergies, man.
The thing with Hug's character is that he's not just annoying at the party, which is what I was gonna say. Is I'm fine with him being annoying at the party. Like, oh my god. So basically, at the party, you like this is where it's like revealed because basically Beth and Rob, like I said, they have a complicated kind of relationship. And you find out that they slept together like a month prior, which you see at the beginning of the film. The film opens with Rob filming the day that him and Beth spent together. And I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. You know what would have been better? Imagine if they just did that opening where it shows Beth and Rob and then immediately start at the party. Like, start at the party, and I think you can easily chop down 3-4 minutes. And you get to the monster quicker. But what I'm trying to get at is, basically there's a scene at the party and Beth shows up with a guy, Travis, who's played by Ben Feldman, who if you
Superstore.
guys Superstore,
and
which
As
is a
Above,
funny
So Below.
Yes, he is in that movie. I don't like that movie that much. It's
I love that movie.
it's got a cool concept, but yeah. I'd rather watch Cloverfield, I think. But
I'd rather watch.
interesting.
Oh, yeah. I'd rather watch As Above, So Below.
I like the monster aspect of this. I am.
I feel you with that.
I'm not like the biggest kaiju guy. Like I like kaijus. I think just in general, I love a good movie monster. Like whether
Yeah.
it's Predator, Alien, or movies like this, like Godzilla, Kong. Like even if the movies aren't great, I do like a good monster flick.
Right.
So I'm not the biggest kaiju guy, but I do like this movie quite a bit. And my biggest
I
criticisms
do like it when it's spooky.
my biggest criticisms definitely come in the first act, the first 20 minutes. Like we said, it takes way too long to get to the action. The characters are super unlikable. And getting back to my point, which I keep getting fucking sidetracked because my brain's all over the place and it's scattered. But yeah, basically, you find out that at the party, because shit gets awkward immediately because she brings a guy to the party and her and Rob have this thing. And then basically shit goes down. And basically, Lily divulges to Jason and Hug that a month ago, Beth and Rob slept together and he kind of blew her off afterwards. He didn't call her, he didn't reach out to her, he kind of stood her up a little bit afterwards. And then this is where you immediately really start to hate Hug because she goes, "Don't tell anybody." And he immediately goes to every single person in the party
Oh my God, yeah.
and starts telling them in a really uncomfortable, cringy way. Like he literally, one of the dialogue bits, he goes up to a couple and he goes, "Hey guys, did you know that Beth and Rob had sex?"
Yeah.
It's so he goes up to like Marlena. He goes up
And he
to
goes up to Marlena. Yeah, that made me like so like angry.
it made me uncomfortable. Like
Yeah. No, he was such a fucking prick. He definitely brought it down like
a lot.
a lot because it's just so
I
much of it was just so much of that, you know.
If he
Like,
would have died
did we
first, that would have
really,
been cooler.
Like, need that? Yeah.
Like if he would have died, if he would have been the first one dead, I think I actually would like this movie more. He's just a
And then,
really
like-
obnoxious character, and he like shoves the camera in everyone's face, even during the
Yeah.
monster shit. Like they are traumatized, dude. There is a point in the film when they're in the subway system, and Rob is on the phone with his mother and has to tell
Yeah.
her
Oh my God.
that her other
That
son
her
is
other son.
dead,
Yeah.
and Hug is still recording.
I know, dude. I fucking
Dude,
Ugh.
come on.
It was so
fucking-
like invasive.
He's so invasive throughout the entire movie. And like I said, half my notes are just really just despising Hug. There's one line I don't know if it's Hug's line. I don't know why this ran. I think I just looked at my notes, but there's one line that I actually think is really clever at the party scene, and it's when the attack first happens, because you don't know it's a monster yet. You just see a bunch of debris go flying, and you don't know that it's like a Cloverfield monster attacking yet. You don't. It's just an attack, and one of the characters says, "Is this another terrorist attack?" And I was like, oh shit, this is only 7 years after 9/11. Like this is still a very real fear in these people's minds. Like they live in New York. Like this, and so I thought that, I don't know, it's just a tiny little thing, but I thought that was like a clever little kind of bit of dialogue.
That is a little bit that I did remember, that I thought was like an interesting inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Because this took place 2007. Yeah, that would definitely be fresh enough to warrant being.
Oh
like,
yeah, I
free
forgot
of
it takes
that,
place in
and-
2007, so that's even a year before. So it's even less time in between 9/11 and whatnot. But yeah, so I feel like we're complaining about this movie a lot. Let's get into the good stuff, because outside of Hug's character and some of the stupid decisions, it's a horror movie, whatever. There's a lot I like about this movie. I already talked about how I think the inclusion of the found footage aspect is really cool. It kind of separates itself from all those other kaiju movies. I like that it puts you in the shoes of the character. You're just as confused as they are. Like if you sat someone down to watch this movie and they didn't know that it was a monster movie, the first attack would be genuinely pretty effective. Because again, like that little bit of dialogue we just talked about, like the characters don't know. And what I also really like, and you kind of mentioned, is they kind of pull and I guess it's weird to compare it because this did it first, but they kind of pull the 2014 Godzilla where you are shown very little of the monster, but every time you see it, you see more and more of it. And the first time you even get a wide glimpse of it is
Right.
on TV news footage. They run into a store because
Yeah.
Rob needs to charge his phone to get in touch with Beth. And I really liked that because there's a actually really good scene and it's blocked really well. And just like the cinematography of the scene. But it's when they go in that convenience store and everybody's robbing stuff, they're looting. Rob is charging his phone. There's a lot of confusion, a lot
Exactly
of
what you're talking
chaos.
about.
And he pans over and he just sees like 6 dudes just like frozen in their place, just looking up at the TV. And he's like, "What?" And he goes over to the spot and pans over. And that's when you see the TV news footage of like a helicopter flying around New York, and you see the monster. But even then, you don't really see it in its entirety. It's because it's kind of obscured by some of the taller skyscrapers in New York. And so I thought that was just like a really clever way to showcase the monster. And so that way you don't, as the
Wait,
kids say, blow their load too early.
I thought at that point in that scene that you saw they were going from like different TV screens. They like switched looking through different TV screens, and then you saw that it like spit out or like hatched all these like
Yeah.
fucking
That's
bug things
the
there.
first if I'm not mistaken, that's the first TV footage you see, but it's like a close up angle of the monster. So you don't see much of it and you just see the tiny little insect spawns falling off of it. And then when he pans over to the dudes and they're all like staring at the TV like what the fuck is going on, that's when he looks
Yeah,
at the TV and you see like the wide shot of the monster. And it's really
yeah.
cool and I think it's really, like I said, really effective. And I just like that they sporadically show the monster throughout the film. And I also got to
Mhm.
mention, I don't know how you feel about this. Maybe it's a little corny. Maybe I just have some nostalgia for this, but I love the Statue of Liberty head being thrown as like your first
Oh,
real introduction to the monster. Like I think that's spectacular.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay.
I did
Cool.
think that was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty funny how they kind of acted probably just how people would act nowadays if something like that were to happen and like be like, whoa,
Would they
and then
though?
just whip your phone out and then just like take like a video of it.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. I think it is a little bit ahead of its time in that regard to where it kind of it does because that's I mean, think of all the terrible shit we see happen and people are filming it from the across the street, whether it's
Yeah,
I hate to bring it up, but police brutality, other
yeah,
sorts of shit like that. Like people are always filming now, and even back then when they had just flip phones, everybody was still filming things, and it kind of set the curve in that regard, I guess.
well, I guess, yeah. I think this was more like to document what's going on.
Hmm.
Which like reminds me, the one thing that I was gonna say was like because we were complaining about the well, I guess it's kind of negative then, but we were complaining about fucking TJ Miller's character, fucking HUD,
Yeah,
um,
fucking hug.
like having the camera the entire fucking time.
Hmm.
When like at the end, um, like Rob has the camera and he's kind of taking it in the way that they did in Rec,
Yeah.
uh in that like direction, um like how they were like, well, the people need to see like what's going on, or like at least to see that, to have it like sort of like documented.
Mm.
That like format probably would have worked fine instead of it just being this persistent annoying asshole, um having a camera in everybody's face all the time.
You know what I would have
So-
just liked better in this movie?
What's that?
If they just, I don't know how you could write in like an excuse to do it, but the amateur night, the first segment of VHS where the guy has the glasses with the camera,
Yeah.
that I think would solve most of my problems, because I don't, I think I used to like it, but when I rewatched it, and this actually brings up an interesting kind of point that I think we've made on this podcast before, is that when you watch something with the intention to not just enjoy it, but to have a discussion about it and to talk about it in an entertainment format like a podcast, and especially if you're taking like detailed notes and whatnot, it really does kind of bring out the pros and cons of a movie in a way that you maybe not have before. Because again, I've seen Cloverfield at least 6 or 7 times. It's a movie that I have rewatched very frequently, and I'll still watch it again after this. Like, you know, despite whatever score I end up giving it, I do still enjoy a lot of the aspects of this movie. But I've never, like, when I was watching the first act, the first 15 to 18 minutes before the monster attacks, I genuinely was like thinking to myself, do I like this movie anymore? I was really like, but then the monster does attack, and then like I do really get into it, and I do get invested, and the pure just chaos, and I love a lot of the set pieces in this movie. Like I said, I love the Statue of Liberty head being thrown and flying through the streets. It's just a cool visual. It's such an iconic statue, and just to see it just destroyed and dismantled, and then the head comes flying, and you know, there's a lot of effective scenes. I think the scene when they're in the tunnel is really great. But either way, when you do take notes when you're watching a movie with the intention of talking about it, it does, I think, point out a lot of flaws. And one that I just was shocked about was, I don't like that end scene. I don't like Rob forcing the camera on Beth, because she clearly just doesn't want to do it. And like at that point,
it is quite a
like you know what just
tense
would have worked.
situation.
You know what I would have just preferred better, if just like they took the camera and like he set it down and just didn't realize it was still on, and you just hear the dialogue, and they could have like a sentimental,
like an honest, conversation.
an honest little conversation, because it makes me a little, I don't know, I just don't like the invasive camera aspect, and I think Hug is the perpetrator of it for most of the movie, but Rob kind of does it at the end, and I don't love that. Like I don't, and I'm also really confused at the time, because it goes from nighttime to daytime really quick.
I was confused about that as well. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
What was going on with that?
They do say that the helicopters are leaving at 6 a.m. So I guess, but it really does go from just like nighttime to daytime, like in the snap of a finger.
Like 3. Oh no. Well, I'd say the sun would rise about around that time.
It's not about it not in that time span. It's just like I would have, like, you don't see the sun rise. It's imagine that would have been cool at the end, if like
from one shot to another.
Yeah, from
like,
one shot it goes from when they're, I'm fairly certain, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm remembering it correctly, correct me if I am wrong, but I think the final nighttime shot is when they first get in the the helicopter. They get into the helicopter. Yeah, they fast travel. Yeah, no, but they get in the helicopter, and they're flying away, and then it's funny because they're filming the monster, and this is like probably the best wide shot you get of the monster, because Hug is filming it from the helicopter, and they drop a bunch of bombs on it, and they're like, yeah, take that, how do you like that shit? And then it immediately emerges from the smoke and knocks the helicopter down, and the next shot, it is like fully daytime, like, because Hug gets eaten like right after that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Thank God. I've never been more happy to see a fucking character die in a movie, except maybe like the sister in Texas Chainsaw 2022. The one with the curly hair.
Shit.
I fucking hated her.
I hated that movie.
I really hate that movie. At least I do think this is a good, pretty good movie. One of the lines that I think is kind of funny, and it's at the party scene And it's when Beth is leaving, and she's like, she says to Rob, she goes, "Good luck in Japan" or something, or "Good luck, Rob," and then Rob responds with, "Yeah, good luck tonight, Travis." And I was like, holy shit, he just murdered her.
That was
That's probably why he
pretty
went after
hefty
her.
line.
Oh my god, he mentions that actually. I forgot about that. Later in the movie, he mentions that. He goes, the last thing I said to her was good luck tonight, Travis. And it's like, yeah, you're a fucking dick. They even say, like, his brother.
That was a pretty fucked line.
I guess the party's not entirely bad because I do like the scene when they're out on the fire escape and they're talking to him, and the brother Jason is like, no, I didn't say you felt like you weren't good enough for her. You aren't good enough for her. And then he does one of my cardinal sins in a fucking movie that I hate.
Which was?
I hate when a character refers to another person by their full name. That irks me to no end because people don't talk like that in real life. I never refer to my friends by their first and last name, ever.
That's true.
He says her full name. He goes, Beth McIntyre is a goddess. You know who talks like that? Middle schoolers. The only people and there's tons of parodies of kids in high school and kids in middle school where they make fun of that aspect. Like I like tons of comedy skits. Yeah, where they say, or they'll say like the first name and the last initial. Like, oh, did you hear what Ryan P said? No, what did Ryan P say? And it irked me so much, and I don't know why. It's like the dumbest pet peeve. It doesn't like knock the movie. It's not like I'm taking a point off for the movie. It's a real big nitpick, but it bothers me. It bothers me so much.
I have to say, while we were talking about this, I realized that there was another person who was in New Girl in this movie.
Wait. Can I guess?
Go for it. I don't think you'll get it though.
Because is it someone at the party?
Yes.
It's someone at the party, but they're probably not. Is it the Asian girl?
No.
Oh, okay. Because Hug goes up to to this guy. I think it's two girls, and the one is Asian, and he tells her. That's when he's like, "Did you know that Rob and Beth had sex?" And she's like, "What? No." She's like, "No, because you make shit up," implying that everybody thinks he's a dick. So
right.
Yeah. No, who is it?
It's this guy Rob Kirkovich. He on his IMDb page, he seems to look the same as I remember him in the episode of New Girl.
Oh, I gotta look him up. Rob Kirkovich.
He's got like hair, like I guess bangs.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, and like glasses and a beard. Anyways, he was in this one episode where Nick ended up having to represent Schmidt when this guy like sued him. He was the guy to sue Schmidt.
Okay, yeah, I would never have gotten that. That's a good catch.
Dude. Hey, man, it's my fucking comfort show, and I can't count how many times I've watched that.
It's
show.
Very easy to put on.
Right.
I'm trying to look through my notes because once we're done, I guess discussing the movie, that's when I want to get into the all the crazy lore behind Cloverfield.
Yeah.
How do you feel? One aspect of this movie that I absolutely love to this day and will never not love is I am in love with the design of the monster. I love it.
That was okay.
No, not a big fan.
I honestly like I don't know. Something about like it's like I don't know. It's anatomy.
I love it. It's like, so weird. It's like so unique in my opinion. Like I haven't seen another monster that looks like that. It's so, and the way it like it's designed with its like arms and how like I don't know how to even describe it. It like almost crawls. I think is just super unique, and I even its face, like it's the way that it's like ears and like cheeks kind of flap when you get that really great close-up shot when right when Hug dies, because it's right after the helicopter crashes and they're like,
Oh,
Hug
I did
behind
like
you, and he
it,
turns
that
around.
close shot.
Which also, like, how the fuck do you not hear or see that monster? Like, come on.
Yeah, that's kind of insane.
That was weird. But no, and you get that really great close-up shot, which I love that you never get a direct close-up shot of the monster's face until like the very end of the movie. And again, like I love just like slowly revealing more and more of its like as you said, its anatomy, I guess. But I'm saddened that you don't love the design. That's one of my favorite parts of this movie.
Like
It's so
it's
weird.
like body is not great, but I did like the shot when it's like facing the camera. That I thought was like that was really cool.
Yeah.
I did like seeing it up close and personal.
That's fair.
Otherwise, I have to say.
You know what that's fair. You know what I think is the most disturbing scene is when Marlena dies. The sort of I guess alien
Yeah.
kind of homage, I guess you could call it, where and I think it's really well done because I think for not only a found footage, but let me look it up real quick. I don't believe that this movie had a very high budget, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was fairly small, 25 to 30 million. I guess that's pretty decent, but
100 million?
That was insane. I'll never get over that.
It was like a third.
It was the craziest guess. Yeah, no, but you know, the 25 to 30 million is like, I guess you'd count that as like medium budget. That's like in the mid range. Not quite as expensive as like a modern superhero movie, but not as cheap as Wreck. Wreck was 2 million, I believe. But I think a lot of the effects look great. Like I think especially the main monster, Clover, looks really great. I did notice this time that the insects looked a little dated in terms of how they were rendered. The textures didn't always look that authentic. I think they have decent tracing in the scenes. Like they sort of move in the scenes, and they have like pretty good weight, and they feel like they are authentic in the scene. But there's a couple shots where it doesn't exactly look too real. I don't buy it completely. Like especially the one I noted one shot where I think Rob is beating one of the insect creatures with like a pipe or something, and it looked really fake. It really looked like he was just hitting the ground, and then they CGI'd the creature
I think it
in.
was wasn't the an axe, like a fireman axe?
Something like that. It was something.
I think so. Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah.
And that's true, because I feel like I remember that he went and he was just kind of like kind of like throwing it around all willy-nilly. And I think the camera like just so conveniently did not show when he made
contact,
and then and then the camera goes and like sees the monster, and it's like, oh, he got him.
Yeah. And there's a couple times in this movie where I think they do kind of use the found footage as a crutch to like not have to do something. And I have one note about that specifically, but one thing where I think it like works well is like I was saying, the Marlena death scene. So basically, for those of you who have not seen the movie or you forget and you want a little refresher, we mentioned that like we've been talking about the insects that fall off the body of Clover, which also I think it's a really cool touch. Like I think like the fact that you already have this destructive, violent monster, and then it has these little spawns that fall off of it and are equally as destructive and violent. I think that's cool. But they're the little insect things, and they basically at some point they realize that they can't make it through the streets, so they go down into the tunnel system and decide to walk through the tunnels as they're walking. Yeah. And there's a really cool scene where you see a bunch of rats running, and they realize quickly, oh, they're all running away from something, and then they turn on the night vision on the camera, and you see like the creepy crawlers, crawling all around, which is a good shot. I thought that was pretty effective, and I like that. It's like an instant oh fuck moment, and in a found footage horror movie, you need those kind of instant oh fuck moments, which Wreck has so many. But this movie, yeah, and I liked that a lot. But then there are scenes, like Marlena. Yeah, anyway, Marlena gets bit in that scene, and the bite effects look pretty damn good, and it's pretty
Oh
gruesome.
man.
Yeah, they're like all in her back and shit, and
The
like
heebie-jeebs.
she's progressively getting sicker over the next few minutes, and then they run into the military, and basically he pans the camera over when they're with the military and a bunch of medical people. And one of the things that I like right before this is they're wheeling someone around, and where they wheel it in front of Hug, and he pans the camera down quickly, and you see a body with the stomach exploded, and it's cool. And then they continue, and he pans over to Marlena, and she looks so fucking pale and just soulless, and she's like, I don't feel so good. And then they're like, we got a bite, and they grab
eyes
her.
Are like bleeding.
Yeah, her eyes are like bloodshot and bleeding, and they take her quickly around, and they're like, what are you doing? That's our friend. And then immediately she goes behind this I don't know what you call it, but like in a hospital where that like it's like that big white sheet that separates two beds,
like a privacy
sheet or whatever, privacy curtain. Yeah, it's like a giant curtain, but you see her silhouette, and you just see her stomach explode, and blood just flies everywhere, and it's again just another oh fuck moment that is really, really good, and I thought that was really well handled.
I really like that as well.
That might be my favorite scene in the movie.
My favorite scene in the movie,
other than the Statue of Liberty head, because I just think that's great. I just love that.
I like the Statue of Liberty head. I liked when they were in the helicopter. I liked when they reached the top of the building to reach the other building.
That was cool.
That was such a fun scene to watch. Even though to get there, I kind of like disagreed with.
Yeah. They make a lot of dumb decisions in this.
That's a really stupid thing to do. And then also the army making a stupid decision by letting them go try to do something really, really, really stupid and likely die.
It's not technically the army. It's just the one soldier.
It was that one soldier. That one soldier was highly irresponsible, because that was just, why would you do that? He's like, because I feel like I remember the army guy being like a foot taller than like Rob. And it's
He's so tall, yeah.
What? And it's like, Rob, what are you going to do? Like, this guy is not going to go outside by himself. What are you going to do out there with all these fucking things?
Like, I don't even know if we explained it for those who haven't seen it, but they're heading in the exact direction the monster is. Like, that's part of the stupidity, is they're literally heading towards where the monster is, like directly towards it.
Exactly.
It's like, why the fuck?
Because that was the area that she lived in, was where they started like attacking.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, oh, we have to go to Midtown, and I was like, no, you don't have to go to Midtown. You really don't have to go to Midtown.
For a girl you are not dating, that's bold.
Yeah,
I'll put it
that way. I'm bold. Sorry. This will pass. I can't.
There's other women. Move on. I would like to also. I'd like to point out this is like, man. This is like the 4th episode in a row where Aaron's like, I would not have gone back and saved that person.
I mean, I don't. All right.
You did it in VHS and you did it in Rec.
And I'll do it again, because you know what? That's fucking insane. And when they found her with a fucking like one of those like metal pipe things,
like a rod or something.
Metal rod through her fucking chest.
It's like through her stomach or something. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's literally what I was gonna say earlier, where I was pointing out the found footage. It conveniently hides it. Did you think that was a little convenient? Hug sets the camera down, and
Yeah.
all you see is the bottom half of Beth's body, and you see her body lift up, and you hear the noise of her body. They basically have to
She like
pull.
twinges.
Yeah, they have to
too.
pull her body up from the metal rod or pole that's sticking through her.
Yeah.
And like, I guess it's a good sound effect. Like it was like a good usage of sound, but it was one of the moments where I never felt like in Wreck they used the found footage as a reason to not show something. Whereas in this movie, it 100% in that moment especially felt like it was like, oh, we could just have him set the camera down, and it's just so conveniently obscuring the special effect that we would have to do for this.
Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah. Now, so
I
that
get
was
you with
that definitely was a flaw. And one again, I've seen this movie so many times and I never had a problem with that scene. But if I'm looking at things that do take me out of the movie a little bit, that's one of them. And it sucks because for a good portion of the movie and a lot of the different scenes, I do feel like they don't use the found footage aspect as a reason to hide something or to not show something. You'd expect it a lot more in a monster film, but they definitely they don't hold back. They don't pull punches, and I do find I don't exactly find this movie scary. This is not going to keep me up at night with the lights on. But I do think there are some effectively creepy moments, and I do think the overall scale of it is pretty cool for a found footage movie. I don't think there's many found footage movies that have this sense of like scale and magnitude to it. A lot of the time found footage movies are very subdued, low key, one location, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the feeling there is some feelings of dread and like when you like see the monster and you realize how like strong it is. Yeah, and how exactly how fucked they are. It's just like like kind of like for Wreck, like at that moment you can just sit down and kind of enjoy the ride,
Yeah.
Like if you kind of know the ending sort of, it's just like, all right, so let's see what you got. And they like delivered some really fun stuff.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed this movie. I honestly don't have much else to say about it. I won't lie to you.
Yeah, I think I've said a lot of my thoughts on it. There's not a ton to talk about in this movie per se. I think it's just a fun time. Like I definitely I think this is a movie that a lot of people could enjoy. So if you're like with a group of friends and you maybe want to put on a quote unquote horror movie that is like a fun group experience. I also think this is a fun movie to show people. If you're going to show this to someone and they don't know anything about it, test this out for me. Don't tell them it's a monster movie and just get their reaction to it. Cause I would love I think most people go into this movie knowing that there's a monster.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let me
I'll
just
totally
look.
do that.
Let me just look through it.
Trick someone and they'll get scared.
Oh, I guess one little thing I wanted to note, just going along with how I like how they sporadically feed you the information in this movie, is before you even see the monster, they basically I think it's during the scene when the giant Statue of Liberty head gets thrown, or maybe the scene after that. But there's basically something that causes like a huge cloud of dust in the streets, and Marlena is caught up in it. I actually think it might be when the monster starts getting closer to them and attacking. However, one of the things that's really cool is right after it, Marlena, she has this just distraught look on it. And a bunch of people are freaking out and crying and panicking, rightfully so. And Marlena is just like white as a ghost, not just like literally, but like metaphorically as well. And all she says is in a very like low monotone voice, she just says, "It was eating people." And you're like, oh fuck, what is in store? Like, what do we have to deal with? But I just thought that was like a cool detail. Again, just going along with what I've been kind of preaching about with this movie, where I really like after the party, I really like the sequence of events. One thing that I do think could get cut out is, in terms of, again, more negatives, it's not a major thing, but I don't need them to repeatedly be cutting back to a month prior when Beth and Rob are spending the day together. I know why it's in the movie. I know that it's to build that connection between the two and to give more motivation for why he's going to save her. But at the end of the day, they slept together once and they spent one day together. Like it's not enough for me to be like, yeah, this is a reasonable thing. And I think another change I would make in this movie is make it a familial tie, get rid of all the romance drama, and just have his sister live on the opposite side of the city. Give him a sister, have him, because I think anybody would go after their sister or their brother or their loved one in that sense. But a girl that you only slept with one time, maybe if you have, I get they had a little bit of a history together, but they only slept together once. They only spent one day together. And I just don't need them to repeatedly be cutting back to it.
Oh, they were childhood friends or something like that. I think.
Yeah. Which, whatever, that's fine. It's not a terrible detail,
fine.
but again, like you said, it's not a justification for putting them in that situation, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of cool set pieces in this movie. Like I said, I love the Statue of Liberty sequence. I like you already mentioned, I love the whole them having to climb up the one building and then jump over to the other building. It's a good sequence when they're climbing over it. I like that a lot. I like the little detail that they don't really tell you Lily's fate. The last time you see her is just getting off in a helicopter, so maybe she survived, maybe she didn't. Leaves a little bit of ambiguity to it. But yeah, that's really all I have to say. I think Matt Reeves did a pretty good job with direction. I think there's a lot of really great scenes in this movie with a ton of extras, whether it's the military hospital scene stuff or just when they're in the streets. There's a lot of extras there. There's dozens of extras that all have their place and purpose, and it's not as simple as, oh, just act crazy and act panic. Like, there's a lot of coordination that goes into that. So on that element,
that's super cool.
Yeah, and it's cool to go back now after he's directed, like you said, the 2 Planet of the Apes movies. He also did I don't think you've seen it, but he did the American remake of Let the Right One In, as well as it's called Let Me In. It stars Chloe Grace Moretz and Cody Smith McPhee, I believe.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, it's cool to go back and see, Matt Reeves after he's done like the Batman and all that stuff, and to see his early work. I enjoyed it. I liked it. And for what it's worth, for what it's going for, I think it does its job pretty well. But shall I get into the lore?
For sure, man. That's what I'm stoked for. Like, I want to know what the fuck's going on behind the curtains.
I would like to first start off by just talking about the entire Cloverfield trilogy. There's 3 Cloverfield movies right now. And I don't want to spoil them, but what I want to talk about is the marketing. Because the marketing for all 3 of these movies is fucking insane. To start, the first time they ever
heard of something like
dude, it's crazy
about it, but please,
it's crazy.
Tell me.
So basically, the first Cloverfield movie, we'll start with that one, the one that we have been talking about this episode.
Yeah.
The first trailer that they ever released, at the end of the trailer, they didn't reveal the title. There's no title. They just put the date that it was premiering.
Oh,
and
wow.
I think that's so baller.
That is an incredibly risky move.
So risky, but it creates such an intense intrigue in people. Like, what's that?
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance, it's on YouTube. Just go back and watch. Just type in like first Cloverfield trailer. It's really cool. It's a really good trailer. And I love that they didn't reveal it. The second thing is that if you take the Cloverfield poster and mirror the image in the background in the city, you can see the silhouette of the Cloverfield monster.
Dude.
If you get a chance, if you want right now, you can like Google it, but just type in like Cloverfield poster mirrored, and it's so cool, and you can see it in the background. The second thing that I want to talk about, or I guess the next thing, is the 10 Cloverfield Lane trailer. And more people probably know about this, but it premiered during a Super Bowl halftime. Not halftime, but during the Super Bowl one year. And the craziest part about it is the Super Bowl's in February, right? Beginning of February. As we're recording this, it is the day before this current Super Bowl. Super Bowl's always early February. They released the trailer during halftime or during the Super Bowl. Nobody knew that this movie was even being made. Nobody knew that a Cloverfield sequel was even coming out. And they dropped the 10 Cloverfield Lane trailer. And at the end of the trailer, it reveals that the movie is coming out in a month. It dropped March of that year. And then the next one, the more recent one, is in 2018, Eagles-Patriots Super Bowl. They released another Cloverfield trailer for the third film, Cloverfield Paradox. And they released it, and they said the movie is available right now.
Oh, I remember that.
They dropped the movie during the game. That's the craziest shit. That is so insane.
That's so ballsy.
But in terms of... Okay, so one thing I wanted to ask you. The final shot of the movie is another flashback sort of to when Rob and Beth are spending the day together. They go to Coney Island and they're on a Ferris wheel. And you see... Before he cuts back to him and her, he's filming out at the ocean. Did you notice anything?
I don't know.
Okay, so if you go back and watch it and you pay very close attention to the right corner of the screen, you see something fall out of the sky and crash land into the water.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I have to watch this movie again.
It's crazy. Dude, it goes deeper.
Fuck.
It was revealed. So first off, when they released the first Cloverfield trailer, right? They didn't release it with the title, just the date. The more in-depth fans looked more into it. They released a website, an ARG marketing campaign, an interactive marketing campaign, to where you could watch videos and watch inside the world of Cloverfield real stuff that was happening, including a video by the brand Slusho, a soft drink. It's almost like a slushy. It's like a soft slushy drink.
Yeah.
Slusho is a subsidiary company of Tagruato, the company that Jason in the film works for.
Mm-hmm.
And it is said that inside the Slusho drink is a secret ingredient known as seabed nectar. And there is a video of a Japanese man doing a commercial for Slushos. And in it, it's like a little joke, it's a little jingle about how, you can't only have 6. You know, like the running joke of something so good, you can't just have one. In this, it's you can't just have 6. But in the video, he does this weird motion, and the gist is that it's so good that it makes your tummy explode. And if you'll remember at the beginning of the film, when they're looking at the news reports, one of the news reports talks about an oil rig collapsing.
Oh.
Before the movie was released, that video of the oil rig collapsing was available to watch. And it's basically revealed through the ARG marketing campaign and through people looking into the lore of the movie that the company, Tagruato, and specifically Slusho, was digging deep in the sea, drilling deep in the sea for seabed nectar, and awoke the Cloverfield monster.
Holy shit.
And according to, I believe it was either J.J. Abrams or Matt Reeves, at the end of the film, what falls out of the sky is the Tagruato satellite, which is another tie-in. Going even crazier, not just Cloverfield related, the drink Slusho is featured in every J.J. Abrams product. Mission Impossible 3, the Star Trek movies. It's mentioned in Lost. It is mentioned in, I believe, even Star Wars.
Wow.
So there's this continuation. Oh, it's in Super 8 as well. This slusho drink, tying all these movies together in a sense, loosely, in a loose kind of way, which I think is cool. Just that he includes the slusho drink.
That's fucking crazy, dude.
And it goes a little bit even deeper, but basically you can look into, even they did the same thing with 10 Cloverfield Lane. They created a ARG marketing campaign for it where you could look into the backstory of these characters, and you found out through looking into the backstory. Have you seen 10 Cloverfield Lane?
No.
So I won't spoil anything, but John Goodman is in the film. There's 3 characters in it, and John Goodman's one of them. John Goodman, if you look up his character backstory, you find out that he used to work on satellites for Taguato.
What the fuck, dude?
It's
holy shit.
So crazy, and there's so much detail and there's so much lore built into it. And I would go a little bit more into it, guys, but I don't want to spoil 10 Cloverfield Lane and Cloverfield Paradox for Aaron or any of you guys who haven't seen it. But it's really just, first off, I think it's just really cool, like, for these, like, you know, essentially silly monster movies to have this dedication to all of this shit that most people who watch these movies just don't know or don't look into. And I highly recommend, if anybody's interested, I would look up, there's 2 or 3 good videos on YouTube that you can look into that explains how all 3 Cloverfield movies are connected and all of the tying links, because it goes even further in Cloverfield Paradox. But basically, yeah, so I just thought it was cool that, you know, there's all this, like, backstory and kind of lore behind Cloverfield, and yeah, I don't know. It's just cool. Like, there's all this stuff, like, oh, the company that Jason was working for is the reason that the monster was awakened. There was a lot of stuff for a while because people had noticed the satellite and had theories. A lot of people thought that the monster came from outer space and that's what fell into the sea. But it was later kind of confirmed through all those people looking into the lore that was a Taguato satellite. So I thought that was cool. I don't know.
Holy shit, man, that's so cool. Yeah, no, I fucking love that. That's so interesting and creative to, like, add such depth, or, like, to just create, like, this whole, like, world, you know, like this whole universe sort of, or multiverse probably. I don't know.
I don't want to spoil anything.
Well, okay, but I guess I'll see.
I think we should definitely talk about 10 Cloverfield Lane, and maybe we'll do an episode where we talk about Cloverfield Lane and Paradox in the same episode, because Paradox, I think, would be, Paradox sucks. It's a bad movie. Oh, sure. 10 Cloverfield Lane is still a great movie, but there's a lot of issues with Cloverfield Paradox. But I would want to just talk about that, just to talk about how it ties into the other movies. But so there's all that. I love the marketing, how they always do the marketing. And here is my hope, folks. Here's where the optimist in Jake comes out.
Here we go.
The Super Bowl is tomorrow.
It is.
Very excited. I'm a big football fan. I know a lot of people aren't excited because if you're a football fan, if you're not a football fan, a lot of people did not want the Chiefs and Niners to make it to the Super Bowl. It was ultimately one of the more boring Super Bowl outcomes. But that being said, still 2 very good football teams that I'm excited to see. I think it's going to be a close game. I always love it. We're supposed to get a Deadpool 3 trailer. I heard that there's going to potentially be
I'm excited for that.
Me too. I hope they don't spoil too much in it. I know they're probably going to.
I hope so as well.
But I hope they reserve, because there's going to be a ton of cameos in that movie, so I hope they save a lot of the good cameos for, the actual movie. But I also, I don't know. These are the same people that revealed Patrick Stewart's Charles Xavier was in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, so in the trailers. So They also, in the original trailer for the Avengers, you see Iron Man fall from the sky. So you know watching that movie that he falls out of the wormhole. Stupid.
True.
But yeah, so my hope is that there's been talk for several years now that I don't want to spoil too much, but 10 Cloverfield Lane I still think is great. Again, I say, Cloverfield Paradox, not very good. Neither of them are true direct sequels to Cloverfield. There's never been a true sequel to the film. And my hope, because there's been talks for a couple of years now that they're supposedly in the works of trying to make a direct sequel to Cloverfield. And my hope, since they have a habit of doing this with the Super Bowl, this is 2 times now they've released a trailer during the Super Bowl for movies that people didn't know were happening. My hope is that maybe we get a Cloverfield trailer tomorrow during the Super Bowl, and it is the true direct sequel to Cloverfield that I've been wanting for years.
Yeah.
Years I've been wanting one. And you know what's cool is they've talked about it, because the original concept, and I think Matt Reeves talked about it, is that there is a moment on the bridge when HUD turns the camera and you see another guy filming with his cell phone. And so he had an idea that the next movie would be following that character, and there'd be this point in the movie where both of those stories sync up and then go their separate ways.
Oh,
And
that's crazy.
I thought that would be really cool.
That would've been awesome.
Maybe we find out if Lily survived. I don't know. Oh,
Yeah,
there's
dude.
there's one thing that I didn't mention in that I wanted to. You probably didn't stay and watch the credits, but at the end of the credits, you hear someone say, "It's alive." So it didn't die.
So what? Well, what didn't die?
Cloverfield, the monster, when they drop the bombs on it. The expectation was that, because that's how it ends, with them dropping the bombs, and that's what kills Beth and Rob. If you stay all the way to the end credits, you hear a character say, "It's alive, it's still alive." So that's cool.
Damn.
And
That
also
is
one
actually pretty
last
cool.
fun fact: that monster has been self-described by J.J. Abrams, that Cloverfield monster in the movie, as a baby version of what the monster could be.
That is something that I heard about. That I believe I saw like an article about that.
Mhm.
That I thought was like so interesting, that I kept in mind as I keeping that in mind as I was watching it was like an interesting thing, because like looking back on the design, it's like, sure, it's like that, but then you think about that like fact about it, and
Mhm.
it's like,
It makes it
well,
even scarier.
it makes it a much more interesting kind of like enemy, I guess, like
Yeah.
antagonist, monster. Sure.
No, absolutely.
Fucking kaiju.
Yeah. You'll love it. I love it. I definitely have. This upon this rewatch, I definitely found a lot of flaws in the movie that again, guys, when you're taking notes, and I don't want to say you're looking for things to critique or criticize, but when you're having to take notes because you have to discuss the movie, like the flaws start to be more apparent. Because if I wasn't taking notes for the movie like I normally do when I watch Cloverfield, I usually overlook how bad the first 18 minutes are. But I think once it gets to the monster, I think from there it's a lot of fun. But
No, for sure.
I'm glad that you didn't hate it. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm still sad that you don't like the monster design, because I really do love it. It's not my favorite monster design. Like, I think xenomorphs are cooler, and I mean, Godzilla's classic,
I
or
think it's quite
Mothra.
nice.
But yeah, do you want to get into scores? Oh,
Yes.
wait,
I'm
guys,
fine with
one
that.
last thing. I was going to bring this up at the beginning, and it has
Here we
nothing
go.
to do with the podcast or this movie or found footage or even horror movies. But I need to apologize to Aaron,
What happened?
because he was right about a movie and I was wrong. A couple years
As
ago,
per usual.
this has never happened in the history of our friendship, but this
Okay.
is the first time. In 2020, me and Aaron were working the same job, and this is where we met and became friends, and a friendship that I'm so happy for.
Oh, yay.
And a movie came out starring Tom Holland and Robert Pattinson and other people.
Yeah.
And Aaron really liked it and was praising it. And I gave it a 3 out of 10 at the time.
Dude, man. Yeah, you did.
And I
You were
rewatched
not a
it.
fan of that movie. The
I
Devil
was
All the
not a
Time.
fan of that at all. And I rewatched it recently. This is one of the biggest score changes I've ever done for a movie. I gave it like an 8 out of 10 now.
Holy shit.
I went
man.
from a 3
That's
to an
big
8.
for you, man.
It was big because I don't typically when I change my opinion on a movie, it's usually me liking a movie less. And that's happened several times on this podcast, like Oculus and Monster House, where I go in and I'm like, I'm very excited to revisit this, and then I do, and I'm just like really disappointed.
That's
but
a shame.
It is a shame.
It's cool.
But I rewatch The Devil All the Time, and it's fantastic. It's so good.
I told you, man.
It's so good.
I love it a lot.
If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. If you don't like movies that make you really miserable and sad and depressed, then don't watch it, because that movie makes you feel really bad for a lot of the movie. It's a really dark movie. Like, a lot of fucked up shit happens. But it's really good.
Yeah, that was like Les Miserables for me. Like, it was...
I don't like Les Mis.
I love Les Mis. I have like a personal connection to it because my older sister was in it, and it was like a really big play that like got like an award for school. I'm pretty sure.
I don't hate the play or the story. I don't like the movie.
That's fair. Yeah.
Russell Crowe can't sing.
Yeah. But I like the movie. But fucking that was like the first like story I watched where I realized it does not have to end happy. And so I'm like, oh shit. So like, what do you do in that instance? And then it's like, well, I still really enjoyed this show. Like, what about it did I enjoy? And so like, I look Les Mis and I still like the movie for like the songs and whatnot. Empty Chairs and Empty Tables has my fucking like heart in a chokehold. And I appreciated that part of it, like that it didn't have to be like all rosy and whatnot.
It doesn't have to tie up in a nice bow.
Right. And it was just like these stories that were honestly pretty devastating, and like, and it, shit sucked. And that just, it was what it was. But it was an entertaining story. And it was a fun ride. I like that movie.
I definitely, and we'll get into scores in next week's recommendation real soon. We'll wrap it up. But I'm enjoying talking to Aaron here. But I feel like a lot of people have that mindset. More so, I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but more so casual viewers who don't, and I don't mean even people who like don't. I'm not saying you have to watch like indie movies, or if you don't watch indie movies, or if you don't watch like foreign films, that doesn't make you a casual viewer per se. But people who watch movies in a very casual way, I noticed that they don't like sad endings. They also don't like open endings. They don't like ambiguity in an ending. They like things to wrap up and to be told how the story ends. And there's nothing wrong with that. But no, I think personally, some of my favorite films and TV shows are ones that not even bittersweet, like shows or movies that just have sad, depressing endings, I think can be very effective. I don't go into every movie wanting to be all smiles and laughs. Like sometimes we have a horror podcast. Like most horror movies don't end nicely. Like, so, I don't think, I agree with you. I interesting that's the first, what the movie that made me realize you don't have to have, and I don't even like this movie, but it's the first movie I can remember as a kid that had a sad ending, and it's Revenge of the Sith.
Oh man.
I remember walking out of that movie and I was like, oh my God, all the Jedi are dead. They just killed all of them.
It is a pretty devastating ending.
I don't like that movie, but I definitely think the sequence where they're getting where the Order 66 happens, I still think that's a fantastic sequence. The
Oh
editing,
no, it's incredible.
the music. I don't like that movie. That's like a solid 4 out of 10 for me. I really don't like that movie. I don't like any of the prequels, but
That's
yeah.
fair.
Shall we get into scores and
It's the general consensus.
next week's recommendation?
For sure, man.
All right.
I'm pretty set.
I am going to give Cloverfield 2008 a 6.8 out of 10.
Oh shit. It's not far from me. I'm going to
Oh.
give Cloverfield 7 New Girl guest stars out of 10.
I really thought you were going to be lower than me on this one based off the discussion.
It's something that I could still rewatch again.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Like I said, I do like appreciate lore, and I appreciate when people like take such risks for their like
it shows like a level of
creativity,
passion, you know. Yeah, no,
sure.
let me know if you ever rewatch this in the future, like going into it now, knowing all that backstory and lore. Let me know if it just like impacts your experience, because for me, like when I rewatched it after knowing all that stuff, it was like, oh, like there does feel like there's a little bit more connectivity to everything and things make a little more sense. But yeah. So I don't know if you guys have been listening to the last couple episodes. I don't really care about our combined score at this point.
Yeah,
I'll get to it at some point. Maybe I'll quiz Aaron on what he thinks like our top 5 highest and top 5 lowest rated combined are.
That'd be fun.
I can always go back and just listen to the end of the episode and write down what we both scored it and average it out. But so yeah, guys, I this is the end of Found Footage February. I apologize. I wanted there to be 4 episodes, but I wasn't able to upload on the first Monday of February, and so I figured we'd just do 3 episodes. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of worn out on found footage right now. I don't know if I'd really want to watch another found footage one. I kind of want to get back to normal cinema. I like found footage, but
cool stuff still.
So I got a question for you.
What's up, bud?
I know we had an initial plan on what to do in March.
Yes.
But because of things changing, I had a suggestion. I have an inkling, I have an urge to rewatch a certain franchise.
Okay.
And now that there's no timetable on when we have to do this, I kind of want to do it now.
Oh shit.
And I kind of want to do Scream.
Oh!
I kind of want to do Scream.
Oh my god, for the first time I get to watch these movies.
Let's go. Yes, Aaron, for those of you who
so
don't
excited.
know, Aaron has, I think you've seen the first one, or
I've seen none of them. I pretty much know what happens in the first one, but like I'm so excited to see it, like
all the rest of them. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So it is decided, guys, for the next 6 episodes, we will be doing each Scream film, and hopefully, I don't want to promise anything. Maybe our schedules will work out, but we've joked before. But I would love to have Josh back for Scream 3 to continue keep bringing him back every time we do a third movie in his franchise.
Hell yeah, fuck yeah!
I think that would be a lot of fun. So we'll see if we can bring him into that.
By all means.
All right, guys. So you heard it here first. We will be doing Wes Craven's 1996 slasher horror film Scream, starring Neve Campbell, as well as Skeet Ulrich, my boy Matthew Lillard.
Hell yeah.
Girl from Friends, who I can't think of her, Courtney Cox, and David Arquette. So yeah, guys, if you do not want to be spoiled for Scream, check it out before next week's episode. We will be discussing that, and I'm very excited. Again, I was about to say it, but for those of you who don't know, Aaron just mentioned he has never seen them, and coincidentally, Scream is my favorite horror franchise. So yeah, I love those movies. I also I don't know if this is gonna spoil my opinion on the movie. It probably will,
Yeah.
but Scream, the first one, is my favorite, my second favorite horror film behind Halloween. So I don't know if that makes any difference, but
Damn.
yeah, I
That's
love
gonna
that
be
movie.
something to
I don't
live
mean to
up to,
hype
then.
it up too much, but
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk about it. All right, guys, so we're doing
It better
Scream.
exceed my expectations. If it doesn't, I'm going to hate it. It'll be a 2 out of 10 for me.
If you give it a 2 out of 10, we're ending the podcast.
Holy shit.
Anybody who gives Scream a 2 out of 10 is not a friend of mine.
Damn, man. I guess we'll
All
see.
right. I'm still heartbroken that Halloween didn't get a 10 out of 10 from you. It's okay. It's okay.
I'll
All right,
watch it
guys.
again, I'm sure.
In terms of plugs, you can
Movie is
find
critical.
us, this podcast, on anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcast, as well as YouTube. People seem to like us on YouTube, so check out us over there. Actually,
Fuck
please
yeah.
check us out on YouTube, because it's a lot easier to upload to Spotify and Apple Music than to export usually an over hour-long video of this podcast to upload to YouTube. That shit takes so long to export. But no, guys, we do appreciate you guys for listening, as always. You can also find us on our social media. You can find us over on Facebook as well as Instagram at Scared Speechless for both, as well as finding me on my own personal Instagram at BoozJacob, spelled BoosJacob, as well as my own personal YouTube channel at The Former Film Student, where I discuss movie and TV related content. If you haven't checked it out, I did a recent video essay called Movies Suck Now. So check that out if you haven't already. It's a pretty good video. I also have a pretty cool video. I guess if you're a listener of my channel, because I know a couple of our listeners come over from my YouTube channel, I'll let you guys know here first. If this isn't out by the time that video's up, it may not be. It's been hard to get through all the movies, but I'm making a video ranking all of the all of the I think it's 8 or 9 Best Picture nominees from 2010. It's going to be the start of a video series I do starting from 2010 up into this year, where I go revisit all of the Best Picture nominees from that year, talk about them a little bit individually, as well as just rank them in order from which I think is the least good to the most good.
To the best.
Yeah, so I'm doing currently doing 2010. I have
bestest of all
I've gotten
time.
through 4 movies. I still have 5 to watch, I think, and it is, I think I haven't seen any of them. I've seen Black Swan, actually, but I still have a couple to get through. But
Yeah.
the one I'm most excited for is The King's Speech, which won Best Picture that year. I'd never seen it, so
I haven't seen so many movies.
I know.
I
But
need to watch more.
That's
of those
that's
on
part of
that
why I
list.
love doing this podcast with you. Is it's cool to just get your reaction to a lot of these horror films for the first time.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. I'm so excited to do this new
Yeah,
franchise
it's been
to dip my toe.
been a while since we did a franchise. I think the last one we did was Chucky, and it's going to be a
That-
lot easier to
that took a
watch
long
the
time.
Scream movies than Chucky. Let's just put
Probably,
it that
yeah.
way. Either way, Aaron, if you got anything to plug before we get out of here.
Fucking, I got an Instagram, I guess. I don't know if I'll be using it. It's always so hard to say. It is at Vixatic. That's VIXATIC. Don't worry about what it means. I just post personal stuff, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
And I've been thinking about some YouTube stuff.
Hell yeah.
Nothing set in stone, but stuff being written currently.
Let me know when you post your first video. I'll give you a shout out on my channel.
For sure, man. I appreciate it.
Try to get some eyes on you.
Hell
Not
yeah.
that I have much pull. I'm
I
almost
mean-
at 1.5 thousand, guys.
We're still putting shit out. That's pretty good, at least.
Hell yeah. Of course. Never stops. Never stops.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you again for listening. Throw us on whenever you get a chance, when you're on your morning walks to get coffee, on your drive into work, on your way home from work, when you're at the gym getting your pump on, whenever you have a chance, an hour to 2 hours to listen to two guys ramble on about some horror films. Yeah, if you throw us on. Listen to us, please.
Throw us on when you're jumping from one building to another building. For like that's so scary. I go so anxious doing that.
That's a good scene. It's a good scene. It's an anxious
It is a
scene.
good scene.
It's a good set piece too. It looks very good. Nothing in the
It was
movie really
great.
looked like a set to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just blind, but it all looked good. I don't know. I liked it,
Yeah,
except for
no,
the
liked it.
creatures, dated CGI.
Right.
Years
Right.
ago, what, 15 years ago at this
They
point?
get a pass. They get a
They
pass.
get a pass because the monster looked great. All right, guys. One last time. Next episode, we're going to be talking about Scream 1996, the original, not Scream 5 from 2022, which is also titled just Scream. So don't do that.
Yeah.
I hate that trend.
I won't make that
hate that
mistake.
trend. I hate it. Stop calling
loved
remakes and reboots the same thing as
yeah.
the original. They did it with Hellraiser. They did it with Candyman. They did it with Child's Play. Oh, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Okay, that's it. All right, guys. We will see you on the next episode of Scared Speechless. Thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye.